Hi, welcome to my podcast. Today we're joined by two incredible judoka, Sensei Reid and Sensei Beebe. Chris has been practicing judo since the age of 9 years old, and today he's the owner of Shojin Judo, a Metro Detroit based nonprofit organization. Beyond running his own dojo, Chris serves as the secretary of the USJF and is president of Konan Yudan Shakai, the regional black belt association which covers Michigan and the rest of the Midwest. His resume speaks for himself, but what really stands out is his decades-long commitment to developing the next generation of judoka. Joining him is Sensei Beebe, an instructor at Shojin Judo. Sensei Haley has spent nearly a decade at Shojin, where she now leads the kids program, teaching young students not just technique, but discipline, confidence, and respect on and off the mat. In this conversation, Haley shares what drew her to the sport, the unique challenges of teaching children, her transition from student to instructor, and what over 10 years in martial arts has taught her about who she is. Together, Chris and Haley are a powerhouse teaching duo. Patient, knowledgeable, and clearly passionate about passing judo's principles onto their students. I'm excited to get in their stories, their philosophies, and what nearly a lifetime combined of judo has taught them. Hey Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Good to see you.
Good. Good to see you. How are you doing, Haley?
I'm doing very well, thank you. It's good to see you
Good.
too.
Nice to see you. Okay, Chris, we'll start with you.
All right.
Please tell me about your dojo, Shojin Judo, and what are your responsibilities there?
Wow, that's a fun opener.
Loaded question.
Shojin Judo started under Sensei Neil Simon many years ago. I believe it was in 2004 when Shojin really started up as a nonprofit organization with really the mindset of just constant learning, right? Which is really kind of the meaning of Shojin, continual learning. And through that, it being a nonprofit, it never was about making money or anything like that. It was purely dedicated to judo and all aspects of judo. When Neil Simon passed away this year, I took the mantle of running the dojo. Now, that's not to say that I'm the only sensei. Obviously, Sensei Haley's here with us today, but there's several others within the dojo, even higher ranked than myself, that help teach. So I'm the one who's kind of organizing and kind of helping to steer the ship in some respect, but the Shojin Judo is not Sensei Chris Reid's dojo per se, right? It always was a mindset of something bigger than me or any of the senseis. It's really what it was meant to be, and that was the embodiment of Sensei Neil Simon. He had a fun discussion about sensei centric versus dojo centric, and Shojin is a dojo centric place. So.
Okay. I think that's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best part of being an instructor for you?
Oh, there's a lot to it. I'd say probably the biggest thing that I enjoy as an instructor, and kind of the reason I do it, is twofold. One, I love seeing people learn that aha moment where they start to get it and they grow. It makes me feel really good that I'm giving back to, the community and those around me. And then it gives me a sense of being able to learn myself. Once you become a black belt, you really just now know the basics of judo. And after that, you're constantly trying to master every little aspect of it. And so that's one of the reasons I enjoy teaching it.
That's cool. Okay. Haley, please tell me about your work as a sensei at Shojin Judo.
Oh yeah, another heavy hitter. So, I mean, a lot of what I do is obviously helping teach the class, opening up the dojo, working with the other senseis that are there as well to deliver the lesson plan. With regards to youth specifically, it's a lot of making sure you set the stage, if you will, getting the warm-ups in so that everyone's in the right headspace before we get on into the class itself. Because especially with kids, it's a lot about whole body development and figuring out where they are in their growth, because you have kids as young as like 6 on the mat that are still figuring out their muscles from their energy, and then you have kids that are currently going through puberty, so they have limbs that just a week ago were probably an inch shorter than they currently are, so they're figuring out how to walk again and their balance and coordination. So it's a lot of fun working with them to meet them where they're at and figure out a way to make it work for them.
Okay. How do you approach teaching children differently than you would adults, especially when it comes to keeping them engaged?
Quicker. It's a lot of doing things at a little bit of a shorter bursts. So you don't really want to get too deep in the weeds with things. With adults, you can probably deep dive one technique 5 different ways and they'll be like, all right, yeah, this is great. Like, we get in the nuances of it. But with kids, you want to give them a little bit more of a broad stroke of things with regards to they have the general shape of it. That's great. Let's move on to something else so that they're continually engaged. And even if you're still working on a similar focus, like you're working on the spacing for today, or you're working on a similar technique, approaching it in different ways to help keep them engaged and digesting and absorbing the information is always a fun challenge to figure out. And especially with kids that have different ways of learning and attention spans, it's a good time.
I see. Yeah, that would be a challenge, I bet. Chris, what are important qualities for a judoka to possess?
Well, I'd say there's probably a number of them in there, but top of mind would be, body awareness. You need to know where your body moves and how it moves and how to, really utilize every bit of that, because every technique that we're doing is not just arms or legs or something. It's the whole body. And then, most judoka, embody a great, healthy amount of respect, right? We have that in the dojo with how we bow, how we start everything that we're doing. There's a level of respect that needs to be there. And a lot of judoka ended up being very critical of themselves, though I wouldn't say that's a great skill at times. It's definitely one that tends to develop. We always are nitpicking ourselves, particularly as we get higher in rank. We're always really looking at ourselves under a microscope. And the last bit is, perseverance. If you've got that, that is great, because really, judo's not it shouldn't be taken as I'm just going to get my black belt and now I'm done. It's a long road. It's really should be a lifetime if you're really going to get into it proper. There's so much to learn, so much to it, and you're going to be on a roller coaster of, I really got it and I've got this technique, to days of, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm lost. And so the perseverance is a great personality trait that definitely helps judoka.
Okay. Sounds good. So you think, do you think perseverance is the most important?
I think so.
Or no? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, perseverance definitely is up there, and respect.
And what else? And respect, yeah. Okay.
Those two go a long way.
Because for me,
How about, yeah.
I was just going to add on, you can learn body awareness. It's a lot of practice, but with regards to perseverance and the respect for yourself, for the dojo, etc., those are harder to learn, whereas body awareness comes with practice, comes with keeping at it and not giving up, because it doesn't come easy to many people. It comes with time.
Yeah,
In the beginning, is the humility a thing of something that people experience, and they have to just say, okay, everybody's going to help me, and I just will follow them? Is that hard for people?
sometimes that can be hard for people to take that. You get those that are so critical of themselves they can't take too much criticism, and that can be difficult, right? Particularly if you think you've got it, and then somebody tells you that no, that's wrong. That usually comes off pretty rough sometimes. So, yeah, the perseverance is a point there.
Okay, got you. Okay, Haley.
Yeah.
So, beyond learning a sport, why do you think judo can be beneficial for someone overall?
Judo is a very fun thing because it's unlike any other sport, really. As Sensei Neil and Sensei Chris like to say, it's human chess. So for me, I think judo is an overall body and mind sport where even if you want it just to get into shape, it gives you a lot of body awareness, balance, coordination. It teaches you how to fall, which is something that's very useful in the long run. Short term, winners. Long term, as you age, knowing how to fall is huge, and making sure that you don't injure yourself as time catches up with us. It's community with regards to if you find the right dojo that matches your personality, you can find a family, which I think is a benefit for a lot of sports. But then with regards to the physical aspects of it, you're learning how to coordinate your body in a way you probably don't do on the day-to-day. You're keeping moving, which is huge in a way that a lot of people don't do. And in my opinion, it's a very nice way to get a nice lifting weight workout in. You don't need to lift weights. You just lift other people. Just place them somewhere else.
Okay. Chris, what initially drew you to the Shojin Judo? Dojo, sorry. Shojin's Dojo. Said that wrong.
Yeah, so when I moved to Michigan in, let's say that was 2014? Yeah, it was about 2014. I started looking for a place to do judo. I'd been doing judo in LA, particularly at the university at Cal State Los Angeles. And so when I moved to Michigan, I needed a home for continuing judo. And looking around a lot of the dojos, there's a number of great dojos in the area. But what really stood out to me was the teaching staff. Sensei Neil Simon, past USJF president, certified in just about everything. At that time, he was Rokudan, so 6th degree black belt. And then you have Sensei Nabil, 7th degree black belt, IJF, Olympic coach, and that's just two of the senseis in the dojo.
That's impressive.
So the teaching staff's really what drew me there, as I knew even once I, progressed. At the time, I wasn't even a black belt yet. But even after I got my black belt, I knew that there would be this teaching staff there to help me grow far beyond just a shodan.
Okay. Haley, how about you? Why did you start attending Shojin and stay for about a decade?
So I came out in 2018. I actually started at the BJJ club that was there because I was working on getting my black belt in Hapkido at the time. And so the BJJ club and having a judo club at the same place was a draw. It was near my house or apartment. And so I tried it out, and what kept me at Shojin versus BJJ was the community, the senseis. The way I like to put it, it's a bunch of athletic nerds. And so it was the right fit for me, and I kept with it, and here we are, 8 years later.
Nice. So, okay, what drew you to how do you say it? Hapkido?
Yeah.
Hapkido.
So it's a self-defense martial way. It was something that I always wanted to get into after sports in high school. Self-defense was something I was interested in, and Hapkido ended up being the one that was at my school, and met my husband through it, and a great amount of friends, very close friends there. And so wanted to continue doing something similar up in Michigan after I moved out. And judo Funnily enough, throws were my worst in Hapkido, and I found a sport that kept me that was focusing on what I thought was the most annoying part of that martial way.
That's interesting, huh?
Continuous improvement. It works out great.
Yeah, nice. Well, good thing that you needed to work on those throws.
Right? It worked out well.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Chris, I understand you're the president of Konan Yudan Shikai. Will you please tell me the extent of your involvement?
Yeah, so Konan Yudanshikai being the regional black belt association under USJF, I was voted in the president, oh gosh, 4 years ago? 3 years ago? Somewhere about there. Actually may have been longer. I think that was, yeah. Either way, voted in some time ago. And I'm responsible for helping to keep Konan on track and moving forward and so forth. And thankfully, I have a number of great individuals a part of the organization that really help me in doing that. But Konan is responsible for helping to support the region as far as judo is concerned, with helping out with clinics for kata, coaching, refereeing, junior development, senior development, self-defense, teaching. So I'm kind of helping to keep a lot of those efforts going. But again, it's not all me. I'm just the one that's going to help steer the ship a little bit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then there's also the Board of Examiners, which does the examination for rank. So, for instance, if you were going for your Shodan, your first degree black belt, in the Michigan area, you would attend the promotional event for Konan and be evaluated for rank. So it's another part of the Yudan Shikai, which is kind of nice, that there's a regional area that's evaluating you for rank instead of a national.
That is nice. I like how it's broken down. That is really nice.
Right. It's a support network of sorts.
Yeah. You are also the secretary of the United States Judo Federation. What are your responsibilities there?
Yeah. So, the United States Judo Federation, I'm the secretary, where most of the time, my work is documenting the meeting minutes and such, and making sure we have a quorum at the meetings and so forth, which is kind of I guess some would say the boring part of the job. But additionally, being an officer on the executive committee, I have a number of tasks that are assigned to me. So I've been helping, for instance, with the national office in making things easier to sanction events. So I've had a number of initiatives there. So if you have a tournament going on and you want USJF to sanction it, there's a process for that, and I've been helping to make that a lot easier, not only for the national office, but also for those that are within USJF that are getting the sanction. I've also been working on various initiatives for helping with communication, supporting marketing. I've now been asked to be the chair of the Scholarships and Grants Committee, so helping out. Yeah, so a lot of little things, being asked for by the
It's
president.
big.
Yeah, so a lot of little roles, but a lot of fun.
All those pieces of the puzzle add up, though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Most would say I'm a busy individual. There's a lot going on.
I would say so. So Haley, with grappling arts like BJJ growing so much in popularity through perhaps MMA and how do you see traditional judo's role evolving?
It's a very good question. I think one of the appeals potentially for youth in judo is a little bit more of the discipline because of the respect base that in tradition that judo has. I think that's something that draws a number of people, especially that have an interest potentially in Asia with regards to how to keep evolving. I think it depends on how you approach the teaching. I think the
Mm-hmm.
teaching style of judo has definitely evolved over the course, especially even over the course of being at Shojin. I think the teaching style has evolved, and it's been a little bit less about like just focusing inherently on only one way of doing it. It's a little bit more of you start with a foundation and being open at the more advanced classes to talk about the different variations with regards to like Sambo style, BJJ style, benefits, detriments of it, and interlacing it as one because we acknowledge that judo is not the only style and way of doing things. We like to learn from other styles, other arts. And so I think that having that conversation, especially at a
Yeah.
more advanced level, once you have the foundation, is a lot of fun. And I think that's what keeps people coming back and just being able to play with the different ways at the dojo. I don't know, Chris, if you have any thoughts or additions.
No, I mean, when you understand that judo and BJJ, have a long-standing history of, BJJ kind of developing from judo and all that, there's a lot of synergy there. And you need to, remember that, particularly when you're teaching judo, that a lot of these things are the same. They're really not that much different. But yes, when BJJ kind of started to do its own thing and kind of developed various techniques in their own way, it did deviate, and that's okay. So again, there's so much in the judo politics right now.
Okay.
With Shojin Judo and other things also coming up. So
Okay.
again, it's not a one versus the other. Really, it's almost like saying, well, judo is very different than Japanese jiu-jitsu. No,
Okay. I see.
right? It came from it, and
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
a lot of similarities.
They're similar and just
Yeah.
a little different
Yep.
in different ways.
And I think we
I see.
pair nicely with BJJ. We have a number of students that do BJJ and come to judo to work on their stand-up game. And
Right.
so
Okay.
it's a fun give and take.
That's cool. Okay. So, Haley,
Yeah.
this question's for you. What is your greatest challenge in transitioning? What was your greatest challenge when you transitioned from student to instructor?
I was lucky, I will say. I think the way Neil approached me with regards to teaching was to put me more of a senpai, which is like more of a mentor role before I got to black belt. And so I was helping out with the youth at the beginning. So look, the one fun thing about teaching, especially when you're a green belt, is you get to relearn the technique almost. You have to figure out how do you describe what you're doing. And so in that, you're learning the technique all over again. So for me, who is a perfectionist by trait, it was a lot of fun to, dig into it and figure out, all right, this works for me. Why does it work for me? How can I tell someone that's shorter than me, tinier than me, working with someone that's huge? How do I describe why the technique works? And so I was lucky enough to be able to start that journey earlier and start with the basic techniques and then slowly ramp up as I got new techniques under my belt, et cetera, et cetera. So I was just continuing the senpai-kopai relationship with my peers until the point where I hit probably my EQ, my first cup rank, and then Shodan rank, and that was a little bit more of the teaching track versus the playing, which was a lot of fun in the sense of honing the teaching, where you're trying to be as concise as possible and then figuring out how to calibrate it depending on who you're working with and
I see.
what their level is.
Okay, so it's all level, height, weight, everything. You have to figure
You
it
can
out.
calibrate. If someone's picking something up very easy, you can just keep throwing stuff at them. If someone's stuck on a certain thing, you're like, all right, hold all of this that I could go into, but let's just focus on this one challenge for now. If we get it, great, we move on. If not, that's okay. We figure out what makes it work and we go from there.
Like a dynamic assessment constantly, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Let's see. Chris, tell me about interesting locations you have traveled for judo.
Oh, wow. Well, we can start with my most recent. I was at, I went to Hawaii in May, traveled with the USJF executive officers and a few other individuals, including Hayward Nishioka, who's a 10th degree black belt. So that was quite the treat. So I think I was one of the lowest ranks in the group traveling. So that was that kind of sets the stage there for who I'm traveling with, going club to club, seeing a number of dojos in the Hawaii area, and we lucked out. We had one down day between flying out and seeing a number of the clubs, and on that date, the volcano on the Big Island erupted, and we were able to go see it and see it in person. So not only did I get to do some great judo with some great people and just have a lot of fun, I actually got kind of an experience of a lifetime of seeing a volcano erupt. And then after that, we had various judo meetings and things. So that's when it kind of gets a little more on the boring side. But what an experience to fly to Hawaii, do judo, be around a bunch of people, particularly very high-ranking individuals, and then also experience Hawaii for what it is, and the volcanoes and the scenery. And that was just this year.
Okay.
So,
Sounds cool.
Definitely enjoyed my travels for judo.
Okay. Haley, do you compete currently?
I am on and off. I am looking to get back into competing. Some life events occurred that prevented me, but I am excited to get back into things, so I'll see how it goes.
Okay. Chris, what advice would you give to your younger self when just starting out in martial arts?
I probably would say don't give up. I was very much discouraged as a young kid. When I first competed, I never won a match for about a whole year. And this was competing at a tournament about every month. So that was really, really rough. And then finally, after about a year, I finally started winning my matches and then did very well. But, it was a long, hard road to get through that.
Bet. Did you ever do any other martial arts? Or it was always judo from the beginning?
Well, I started judo when I was 9, but previous to doing judo, I did karate. Sadly, it wasn't anything against karate. It was purely the dojo and the sensei there were not a great fit. It was really much, that place was about making money and not about really learning. And thankfully, my mother had a friend who was a black belt in judo, and when she told her woes of me learning karate and it just being nothing but making money, he said, you should come to our dojo and learn judo. It'll be great, and teach great self-defense and so forth. And so I kind of lucked out in that respect.
Seems like everybody just kind of falls in place there, huh? At your dojo. Haley, I'm going to ask you the similar question. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give to your younger self when you were just starting out into martial arts?
For me, starting out to martial arts was interesting because I was in my college years. I started out in college, so a little different also with Hapkido. It was very much more self-defense based, so there was no real sparring or anything besides groundwork, which I loved doing. But it was I had a lot of fun with it. So in general, just keep having fun with what you do, because the minute you start pressuring yourself to do something a very certain way or having high expectations for yourself, it stops being fun and becomes a job, and it's not worth it. Like, have fun in all that you do, enjoy it to the max, and go from there. If you enjoy the challenge, great, keep up at it, push yourself. If pushing yourself is not where you are at the time, tell the teachers, take it easy for a bit, and then jump back in when you're feeling like you're ready to push again. So
Okay, these are the final 2 questions I have for you both. Haley, What has judo instilled in you that wouldn't otherwise be a part of who you are today?
I think it's taught me a number of communication skills that I wouldn't necessarily have, and how to work and watch people. Like, working with Sensei Neil, I'm able to dissect the way someone works, and I'm able to analyze them in a way I definitely would not be able to otherwise. So it's a lot of fun just being able to watch how people play judo. It's weird doing it now, like realizing what I'm able to recognize and know that like 8 years ago I would have been like, oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
No idea like ins or outs, but like it's fun because I'm an engineer by trade, so the force pulls, trajectories, etc., being able to combine those have been a huge journey, I think, for me over the course of my journey here. And then with regards to working with people, Shojin's allowed me to work with people from all walks of life, which you usually don't get to do in your everyday activity, because your job's your job, where you live's where you live. You typically don't branch out all that far. So the community built here and the number of people that have gone through the dojo and me being lucky enough to meet has been a privilege, and definitely taught a few skills on how to work with different people and people with different advantages, disadvantages in life and with luck of their body.
Okay. That's beautiful. Thank you. Chris, what was the greatest life lesson that being a judoka has taught you?
Ooh, a good one. And on a good one here. Greatest life lesson. Wow. I would say in this answer would definitely have been different years ago, but more recently, I've realized the importance of being selfless. Before my judo journey was all about me getting my black belt, getting better, being better, and then I realized the importance of giving back, and just how much more rewarding that is, of doing more, not for me, but for others. And in return, I still, I get something back from that, but the selflessness really is something that I want to say within the last probably about 5 years really started making more sense to me.
Oh, okay. That's beautiful too. You both are lovely people and sound like you love your dojo and the members there, and you'll be there for a long time, I think, practicing and teaching.
Probably.
Okay, well, it was nice to have you on my podcast.